Good evening all, hope you're doing well. It won't be a long video today like it was yesterday. It was 19 minutes, which is way too long. It's going to be a lot shorter. I went on a bit of a rant about the bot, so I guess we can just talk about the bot now and get that over, get that over and done with. Is that we had 3 losses today, which isn't ideal. So really just to encapsulate what I put into Discord, I think what we'll do next week, we'll leave things running because obviously this week was ECB and NFP, so it's always going to be like a horrible week. Next week, if that goes poorly, then we're going to have to widen our stops. I'm not going to change the logic, we're just going to widen our stops because currently you can see, we're trending higher, you can probably argue, but these moves here, the retracement moves, they're stopping us out. So we might be getting buys, which we did. We had 2 buys today, but these retracements are stopping us out. So if we had a wider stop, we'd be okay. Oh, it's very, very wide, isn't it? But I think we're going to have to probably do that because the nature of price action is the zigzag. There's like a mechanism of impulse move and then retracement, like directional move, retracement, and it looks like we're going slightly sideways, but we can see we're trending higher really, just on the hourly. So I think that's what we'll do. So next week, no change. And then if it goes poorly next week, we'll widen the stops. Okay, and that's it. So we don't need to talk about the bot anymore. It's slightly frustrating because we were doing so well, but it is what it is. And then we'll just have to see how we go. Complacency, so we are quite mixed. You can see the Dow Jones, the S&P, Nasdaq, the Russell 2000. We're quite mixed. Slightly negative, slightly positive. VIX slightly positive. We're coming off the highs. We could come down. And I think what's my comment in Discord was that I think the large traders, the big specs, the guys with big pockets, I think they're probably waiting for the data. It makes sense that they'll wait and hold and then wait and see what the NFP says, and then they're going to look at the rate cut expectations using the Fed Watch tool. Obviously, if that changes dramatically, it's going to give them a boost to their bets. So they're not willing to really show their hand right now until the NFP, and then we're going to probably see like an explosive move. And I think we could potentially see a stronger dollar because what's happening in the treasuries is that we've been very negative, consecutive negative days, and that's slightly unusual. See here, red, 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 and then green. So these could be setting up in order for a nice low entry on the dollar, but we could see continuation, and it would kind of make sense that they wouldn't want a risk off scenario with a strong USD going into the close because it triggers fear, and the large specs don't really want to see a massively volatile VIX. They want to see the VIX pressurized and negative, and then they're going to make lots of money on their longs. And remember, we are risk on. Okay, so there's no real point trying to fight the risk on flows. And we can talk about the S&P now. And see, this thing is like price action is bonkers. We did this, and then what I suspect there was a ton of volume. There's like a volume node up here. If we use the volume profile, it's possibly a retracement up to the volume profile node. Potentially, there would have been some activity at that point, and I think we could potentially looked at some kind of a VWAP band or Bollinger band, and we would have probably exceeded it at the bottom. And I'm thinking if we've exceeded sort of like the threshold, we can use sort of like the NES indicator or anything where we've sort of overstretched, then we can see a return to the volume profile node. And I would have imagined there have been a big node there, and we had to return up to it, and in process taking those stops out. And it's interesting that the S&P, we should be below that box. Okay, so we could be a little bit choppy in the S&P. Dow Jones, and I think it's possible they're gonna short it and it'll make it a buy. We are in a technical up channel. If they sell it, we'll probably continue on this channel. A break of this lower support could mean that they're going to short. Okay, and if they do short, then we see a fake breakout, and those nasty things that you see, like this kind of nasty thing, the fake breakout. We could see another one, like a U pump. If you know what I mean, see that U shape. Could see something like that, and it's going to go up like a cup and handle, formation sort of thing, and we could see another one. But it's possible they're going to short, and they certainly will if we break this support. I think kind of makes sense that they would want to short that break, and it's going to be a trap basically. DAX, and they shorted it, so we should be above that box. Likewise, this is very erratic and very crazy. We've made a W, a very protracted, truncated, squished W. Can you see? Pretty horrendous, and so therefore it could be somewhat technically bearish. I think the sentiment's going to play out, and the fact that they'd sold, and up we go. I think so. S&P could be setting up for a sell. The Dow could be setting up for a buy, and the DAX could be setting up for a buy. So we're going to be a little bit mixed going into NFP and gold. And we should actually be below that box, but I think what's going to happen is that they're going to short, and we're going to retest for a pump, and we could well return to those highs. Remember, the COT data was bullish as well, and oil, I guess. And then we'll just talk about the sheet quickly. And actually, we can see this in formation. Right, there we go. A squeeze of the MA and SSI. Okay, and capitulation, and just fear, apprehension, stops. Getting out, worry, panic, all the negative emotions, and they've given up. Starting to cross over, and we crossed over. And we pumped. Okay, so it's interesting we have a retest of the box, so they can come into play, and I'm going to be looking at these setups next week for the retest of, once we get a crossover, it's the retest. That's what I'm going to be looking at next week. And I've been quite busy recently just trying to hone my entries, because it's actually quite tricky, especially if something like the Euro USD is doing some bonkers stuff. Where are we? I've lost my terminal. Where has it gone? Okay, I've lost it. Oh no, it's here. I was going crazy. I'm a bit tired today, but you can see the zigzag nature there. We're trending higher, aren't we? But really, if you zoom out a bit, I mean, are we trending higher? Or are we just going sideways in this range? Was this a fake? Was this a stop run? Probably. We're still below that high. It's very tricky. It's just really, really tricky. So I think perhaps indices are going to be the way to go. And FX, I might just take a back seat and maybe just trade the indices, because the cross dollar is so tricky right now, and we're trying to trade with sensible stop losses. It's not working out. So I think I'm going to have to widen my stops a little bit for my own trading, and then trying to get a good R basically. But by widening your stop, you need to have your take profit much further away. And if it's going to do stuff like this, it's really tricky, especially if it's going to go sideways. So I think maybe indices are the way to go. But I'm waiting for the retracement, because I don't want to be buying up here. I don't want to be buying the S&P up here, especially if we're getting the risky sell set up. So we can draw a box now, and I guess we'll just call it a day on the video, and then we'll just resume back on Sunday. See, we haven't a reaction off that box, which is fine because they've gone long, so they shouldn't be getting paid. It should be falling, and we currently are. and that's the box. That's the box logic. So if you're trading the S&P, keep an eye on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles prior to current price. You know, the time is now. So look at the 12 p.m. UK candle, and that's currently acting as resistance. So we'll just have to see how we go. And we could talk about the sheet, but I need to make this a shorter video because yesterday's was way too long. It was crazy. Right, so I think just to summarize, we could have a stronger dollar, but on the other hand, will they allow that to happen? Probably not, because no one really wants a risk-off scenario going into the weekend. When you think we could actually be legitimately risk-off, really, because of all those risk events going on in the world, and they're trying to avert that. You know, they're trying to avert a big crash, basically. So, but it's important to note we won't have a huge crash because of this, and this is going to keep you on the right bias, on the right side. Okay, so as long as we're green up here, you're looking for dips. Okay, it is worth noting that we could be going closer to zero, but if we do, then it's going to be slightly risk off on that particular day. But if they short, we should probably be going higher. Now the thing is, the S&P could well be falling, and this is going to be obviously like the daddy instrument, and all the indices are probably going to follow this, with the exception of Nasdaq, perhaps that may have a delay, but we'll have to wait and see. So maybe we're going to have a strong dollar, but probably likely not. And if we do go risk off, we'll have a something coming out from the Treasury Secretary, which I talked about yesterday, and she can say something, and then the VIX will just get absolutely destroyed, and it will go negative, and then we'll be risk on, and then there will be happy days for the bulls. Right, so remember to keep on the right side. It's really important, and especially if all the sentiment is green as well. But perhaps the S&P is going to be of note, and perhaps we're going to be slightly red here on the 24-hour change when we do this bulletin on Sunday. So trade safely, and any questions about the sheet, let me know. It's important. If you do have any questions, I can be contacted. Don't worry about like if you think you're bothering me or anything like that. You're not. I welcome any questions, and trade safely. And then NFP roller coaster. So I think we'll just have to perhaps widen the stops for the bot, and then that may cut out a lot of the small losses, and then with any luck we'll have nice medium-sized wins. So fingers crossed on that, and I'll speak to you guys soon.